Honestly, I swear like 4 cupcakes were eaten. Do I think $3,000 was a waste of money? Absolutely. It would have cost probably several times that, maybe $5,000 to $10,000, I reckon. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be talking about my wedding budget. So I got this idea because numerous people have messaged me asking about my wedding budget. In one of my videos, which I think was my DIY, 21 wedding DIY videos, I think I said that in total we netted out being under $4,000. And so some people thought that that meant that we spent $4,000 as a total, and that's just, I wish. But after like gifts from everyone, we were under $4,000. So that ended up being the actual cost of our wedding experience. So I thought I'd take the time to walk through my wedding budget, not what we actually budgeted for, but what we ended up spending, being thrifty, DIYing almost everything that we could. So let's get started with that right now. I am just gonna say that in total, we did spend about almost $21,500. That kills me, guys. That kid just kills me. I really wanted to spend under $10,000. Initially, I thought I had an idea of just doing a cocktail style brunch. And I was so down for that, but there was just no way it was gonna happen. Some of the family expectations and stuff, there was no way that was gonna happen, but that was my dream, okay? A backyard brunch reception. That's what I wanted, guys. But alas, we did full set down at a proper venue, etc. And so I'll just start right now. So the first expense that I have is $2,000 for a wedding planner. Now, a lot of people aren't gonna need a wedding planner. I was planning my wedding in 4 months and I didn't have my mom with me here. She's in another city. I didn't have anyone that had actually planned a wedding with me at all. And I was freaking out when I first got engaged. So I hired a wedding planner. Do you need one? Probably not. Do I recommend a day of coordinator? Yes. She was so good on the day of. I don't know how we would have pulled it all together. It would have put an enormous amount of stress on someone else, like on one of your closest friends or family members to be that day of coordinator. But that being said, some people are born for that role. Like, I swear, some people have siblings that are just like perfect day of coordinators. If they want to do that as like a gift of love to you, absolutely. And then that's $2,000 you don't need to spend. By the way, a day of coordinator, so the full package was $2,000, but a day of coordinator is often just like about $1,000, just for reference, in case you're wondering. Next, I have venue slash food slash favors. Okay, so our venue had a venue cost of $900. They had a food cost per person, which I think was about $55. And they did our favors of blueberry jam. And I think that was like, I don't know, maybe $3 per favor. In total, all of that ended up costing $5,862. In addition to that, we did pay a gratuity of $600. That's actually, I was initially thinking like we really didn't spend very much, but we didn't have any alcohol at our wedding, and that usually is a big cost. And when I actually did the cost breakdown, it's still kind of expensive per person because I have one other item. So we had to rent some additional things for our venue. And so like we had to rent chairs, linens, cutlery, glasses, and that totaled $1,722. So in total, that ends up being almost $100 per person because we had 80 people there, which is kind of crazy because it starts off as being like $55 per person plus the $900 fee, but then they have these rentals and you have this and that. So it's interesting to see that maybe, you know, some places if they do per person at like $100 per person, but it includes all the other stuff, it includes a ceremony fee, everything, then that's actually not very bad. And then we had a photographer and we paid them $2,200, and that included an engagement session. I think we had maybe 5 or 6 hours in the package. And I thought that was expensive, $2,200, but I don't know. When it comes to photography, that's one thing I didn't really want to cheap out on. I wanted to find a good photographer. Now there's some people though that did pay like $5,000 for their photography packages, and I don't understand that. Like, that is too much money. But that being said, at the 2,000-ish mark, I mean, that was a relatively good price. I did find prices from a few different people, and that was the one that I was like, you know, I love her style, it's worth it to me. So I'm just gonna pay for it. Then for the florist, we paid $1,720. I didn't like my florist at all. I really didn't like her. She didn't capture my vision. She was kind of unresponsive. She made the bouquets way too small. Like, I really didn't like her, and she was quoting me prices that were like actually ridiculous. Yeah, I didn't like her at all. In fact, that was one of the things I kind of regret. So the $1,720 was for my bouquet, my bridesmaids bouquets, and the groomsmen's boutonnieres, as well as greenery for the table. And I regret that. I would have bought wholesale that greenery and laid it out. On average for a bride's bouquet, I think it's about like $150 to $200. And then for a bridesmaid's bouquet, it's about $100 per person. And then per boutonniere, I believe it's like $20 to $30 per person, and that's just like average prices. But what I was getting quoted for the other stuff that I wanted a florist to do was just ridiculous. Like the greenery down the table was way marked up. I had asked her about rose petals down the aisle, and she way marked it up because I ended up buying that wholesale, and that's like actually quite an affordable thing to do. So do I regret that, and could I have spent less? Absolutely, just by solely getting the greenery wholesale and doing some more of it by myself. And by the way, I did do a video testing out how long different types of popular wedding greens last. And I literally did that because after my bad experience with the florist, I wanted to know what parts of the greenery I could DIY myself. And then I found out through my tests I could have done my whole table setting by myself, okay? Just so you know, could have saved hundreds of dollars. So I did that test for you guys so that you can now save hundreds of dollars. Okay, moving on. Couple hotels. So our hotel cost $180 for the night at a boutique hotel. For cake and cupcakes, we spent $338. So that was a mini 2-tier cake plus some amount of cupcakes. One thing I'll say on that is you actually need way less cupcakes than you think. People don't really eat a lot of cupcakes or cake in general, especially if you have dessert. This is something that my wedding planner told me, but I was like, oh, like, I don't know how much, like, if I have 80 people, how many cupcakes do I need? And she said, you probably need at the most half. And she said, usually half aren't even eaten. And honestly, I swear, like 4 cupcakes were eaten. Like, it was not, no one ate cupcakes. So that was something that we could have definitely spent less money on just by getting the little cake and then a few cupcakes, like 30 cupcakes or something, just enough to fill the dessert table. Then we had a violinist for the ceremony, and that cost $140. Do I regret that? Absolutely not. I love violin music and I wanted some live music, so I love that. I think to get a duo, like a violinist and a cello, would have been a little bit too pricey because then it would have doubled the cost pretty much. So instead of $140, it would have been $280. I didn't want to do that, so I just got a violinist and it was perfect. I love that. For a DJ, we spent $700. We didn't want to initially get a DJ because we thought, couldn't we just have a playlist and someone could control it? In hindsight though, that was something I'm really glad that I did. We wanted some Indian music to also be played alongside normal, like regular top 100 music, and he did that beautifully. He kept the whole vibe going. Even just like when people are gonna speak or they need to announce something, like the DJ's there, like, you know, constantly adjusting for that. So I loved our DJ. A limo. For the limo, we spent $500. That's a lot. I really entertained just doing like Uber XLs or like Uber black car kind of thing, but the city that we were in did not have that option. If you're getting married in a main city and they do have the option for black cars and black SUVs, I probably would have done that because it would have been way cheaper. And that was literally just to take the limo, picked the groomsmen up, took them to the venue, came back, picked us up, took us to the venue, and that was it, and that was $500. There was no other option for us unless we wanted to just get into cars. But if, like I said, if you're in a big city that has Uber Black or some other type of black car service, I'd recommend that over getting a limo. Good way to save some money there. Then I have rentals. So I mentioned a bit earlier the venue costs, and then we actually did have to rent separately chairs, linens, cutlery, glasses, and that was $1,700. When I said that figure of like it ended up being almost $100, that was like adding in the venue costs plus the food costs plus favors plus these rentals all together. That ended up being almost $100 per person. Then we did have to rent at the really last minute a ceremony tent, and that cost $1,200. Our ceremony was outside and that was our only plan. And then the week of our wedding actually, the forecast said it was supposed to rain, and we panicked and we ended up renting a tent because we were like, do we want to spend this $1,200 or not? Like, what if it rains? What if it doesn't rain? What if the forecast consistently says it's gonna rain and then they sell it at tents, which I'm sure is what happened, because I think we got the last tent of like an appropriate size. So do I regret that? No. If you live somewhere where it's not high likelihood of rain ever, then you probably could forgo that cost as well. In the end, we were actually glad that we had the tent because it was 35 degrees out. And so there was actually, it was nice because we did the cocktail kind of hour, minus the cocktails, in that tent. And so people had a place with shade to just kind of come and chill out, and it was nice. On the downside, because we rented that, I actually had to make a backdrop decor piece for the tent in case the actual ceremony was in there. I'll insert a picture of it right now. It did stay up in there, which I guess it got some use for cocktail hour, and I did sell it after. But I was like scrambling like 2 days before the wedding, being like, oh my God, I need to put together this installation because it's gonna look so stupid if I don't have something at the front. So yeah. The marriage license was $100, can't get away from that fee. The officiant fee was $300, can't get away from that fee either. And those are like the actual legal steps. And then DIY decor. So that would be the centerpieces, the vases, candles, welcome signs, string lights, card box, cake stands, rose petals, etc. I DIY'd everything I possibly could for the wedding. And I spent $1,100 on all of those DIYs. Now, if I were to actually have paid someone to bring in those decor pieces or rent them or whatever, it would have cost probably several times that, maybe $5,000 to $10,000, I reckon. It would have cost so much more. So with that $1,100, even though that seems like a lot, I did so much with it. Like, I really made it the wedding of my dreams. I don't regret that. And like I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I really wanted to create a special experience. But the thing is, I just didn't want to spend a crap ton of money. So with the $1,100 price tag, that's not that bad. Next we have wedding dress and suit. So in total, we spent $3,000 on that. So I know my wedding dress was $1,700 plus alterations were about $400 plus tax, and then plus my husband's suit, which I guess is the remainder of that. All in all, could I have spent less? Absolutely I could have. If you've watched my wedding dress nightmare story, you know that I found my actual wedding dress off the rack for $800. So could I have gotten it cheaper? Yes. But did I have any other options? No. Do I think $3,000 was a waste of money? Absolutely. So yeah, that was like definitely one of the biggest ridiculous expenses, but it's just so hard. I swear, it's so hard. I think the factor of psychologically, it's like your wedding, plus all the people there that are gonna watch you, you feel like you need to look your best. So you know what, there was no getting around it, but is it a waste? Yes, I do think it was a waste. And then hair and makeup, finally, I did it myself, so it was free. But yeah, guys, those were really the main expenses that we had for our wedding. I hope that helps you when you're budgeting to actually hear some comparable numbers to know. Like, I really called around. I went to different venues. I tried to find like the best prices for different things. I was very frugal, but keeping in mind, like, I still wanted to have a nice experience. So probably realistically, when I actually just look at the numbers, so I said we spent like around 21,500 about. I probably could have cut out, if my situation was a little bit different, I probably could have cut out like the wedding planner, and I could have gotten a better price for the florist stuff. I could have cut down my cake and cupcakes cost, and the limo I could have cut down at least a little over $3,000. But yeah, it's still a big chunk of change, guys. Still a big chunk of change. Last thing I'm gonna say, I forget if I said this at the beginning of the video. So I initially wanted to spend $5,000 on my wedding, and then that switched to $10,000 on my wedding. And then as I got closer and closer and realized all the stuff that I needed, and like how my wedding dress was going over budget and this, and like the pressure from people, and I was getting more stressed out, and I only have 4 months and all this stuff, 20,000 ended up being like our max. And we were right around that, and it just is what it is. In the end, it wasn't that bad because of the gifts that we got. But I just wanted to make this video because a lot of people are asking, and a lot of people I know are on a budget and like don't want to spend very much money for your wedding, and I totally understand that. I just wanted to give you some comparable numbers that you could go off of. And just for reference, so I live in Toronto, And we actually got married in a city that's not Toronto, but that is a little bit away from Toronto, like 2 hours away driving. And that's a good way to get lower costs if you live in a main metropolitan area. And I say this because if I had done my exact wedding in Toronto or like the suburbs of Toronto, it would have cost me at least $50,000 to $60,000. Clearly, I was not about to do that. So yeah. That's all I have to say, guys. That's all I have to share on my wedding budget. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is the first wedding video that you are watching of mine, just know I have a bunch of other cool wedding videos. So go check those out if you haven't already. You can also subscribe to me on this YouTube channel or check me out on Instagram. I'm at DIY Dalia with an underscore at the end. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Bye.